Welcome back to the show. Today, I am thrilled to introduce a powerhouse guest, Joe Mikitish, a seasoned entrepreneur and mentor who has not only built but mastered the art of business growth and resilience. Experienced his own high conflict divorce in 2012. Over his career, Joe has built 10 businesses to seven figures, successfully exiting six of them, and also learning invaluable lessons from the five that didn't succeed. With decades of experience spanning trades, technology, business services, and education, Joe is now passionately focused on empowering blue-collar businesses owners through Blue Collar Connect, the mastermind and the community he co-founded with his wife in 2023. Joe brings a wealth of expertise in scaling businesses, achieving financial freedom, and creating accountability-driven cultures, whether it's moving from operator to owner or crafting effective marketing strategies for service-based industries. Joe's insights are game-changing for anyone looking to rebuild or grow their business. Let's dive in and learn from a true builder of success. Welcome to the show, Joe. Tell us a bit about yourself. I've got some questions for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and just so you know, my wife wrote all that. Welcome to the true world. I'm not going to pretend like I wrote any of that stuff.
There you go.
It's all true, but yeah, she has a way with words that I do not. I'm great at presenting in front of people and breaking down business concepts and understanding where people are financially and helping them with money, but we all have our skills. So, and a little bit about myself. I lived in Boise, Idaho. I've lived here since 2003. I'm originally from a little tiny town in Montana. My dad was military, so we traveled all over, but as often as I could, I went home to Montana and I spent time with family there and really got to appreciate what it's like working with blue collar people. And of course, like most blue collar kids, I was told to go to college, went to college and got an education there that I've never used. So, and I really wanted to be an entrepreneur from the beginning and I should have just started there, but I'm on the journey I'm on, right? We can't regret the things that we did, but I can tell you this. I started the entrepreneur thing in 1999, started a business with a buddy of mine in Houston, Texas. And then when I moved to Idaho in 2003, I I had two businesses running, sold those two businesses in Houston, moved to Idaho. And it was shortly after that, I started a tech company with my dad. And then since then, I've been on the journey. I won't go into every single business, but I've run a lot of businesses, many of them with business partners. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. The wins were huge and the failures were huge. I like to do everything big, man. I like to win big and apparently fail big too. So I'm like, I can't do anything mediocre. I'm like, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to do it all. I'm going all the way, baby. And that's a summary of like my business life. I was married. I know this podcast is about recovery, and that's a big part of what I do, even though I mostly coach people and help people around business concepts. It's all intertwined. Relationships, I was talking about this, like health, relationships, money, and business all have to be dialed in or it just doesn't work. You got to make sure that each one of those is in sync. And that's been one of the things I deal with a lot of business owners because stress in business, stress with money are often causes of divorce. And so I deal with that with people all the time. And then I work with them, a lot of our members, because we work with 400 business owners now in Blue Collar Connect between our markets. And my goal with them is to get their business right and their money right. So at least that's not the cause of a divorce if they have one. And if they've gone through a divorce, help them as much as I can to recover from that as quickly as they can so they can get back to business.
So explain what a blue collar job is.
So blue collar is like your trades, your skilled trades. So plumbers, electricians, roofers, HVAC, that kind of thing. And then construction. So you've got everything from remodel, custom home builders, concrete, landscapers. You've got anybody who works in or on homes, like from the road. And we even do the roads, actually. Roads all the way to the back gate. So on the residential side, and then you got commercial construction, so excavation, all the way. We're moving the dirt. We're building the things on top of the dirt and building sky rises, hospitals, hotels, apartment complexes, houses, you name it. And we're building them and maintaining them, our members. And then on the maintenance side, so that's on the construction and the trades. And then you talk about like your maintenance side of things, which is your home services. So handyman, house cleaners, carpet cleaners, window cleaners, those kind of things. So once the things are built, our folks actually maintain those things as well. We're in 88 different industries that are all blue collar. One thing that makes our organization unique is we're very narrowly focused only on blue collar businesses. So
Okay.
Don't work with any white collar folks. There's lots of organizations that help white collar, not too many that actually are very effective.
Blue collar. Wow, interesting. So let's talk about divorce and failure of business. What are some of the similarities?
It's usually a relationship problem, right? In fact, one of my mentors used to say this all the time. There's one ship that doesn't sail, and that's a partnership. And when it comes to businesses. And it's interesting because a business partnership is much like a marriage, right? You get into it, there's a contract, you're sharing assets, you're doing all kinds of stuff, you're making decisions together, and eventually one person has a different idea than the other. And when those ideas change, it creates inherent conflict, and then conflict becomes bigger and bigger conflict, and hurt feelings and poor communication leads to more, and eventually it builds up to the point where there's no coming back from it. And there could be a betrayal there, right? So lack of loyalty happens a lot with business partnerships. Theft of money happens with business partnerships. Man, I've had it all happen to me. I've had all that happen in my prior marriage relationship and business relationships. I've had partnerships where there was lack of loyalty. I've had partnerships where I've had money stolen from me. And then they went and started a competing business. So it's almost like they cheated on me and went and got with somebody else. And
then got married. Wow.
It's kind of interesting how I never really thought about it until you just said that, man, that there is a similarity between the way businesses break up and the way marriages break up, and the care and maintenance of the relationships in a marriage, and the care and maintenance of a relationships with your employees and your business partners and your referral partners and your customers it's all the same. You can't just go on date night once and then not talk to her for 6 weeks. You got to maintain that stuff. And the other side of it is in business, you got to think about all the people. It's actually more complicated in business because you got relationships with way more people. I talk about this all the time. I beat this drum all the time. I'm like, you can't go service a customer. So a handyman goes and services a customer, comes over to your house, services you, and then you don't hear from him for a year until you need him again. What if he called you the day after and went, "Hey, David, thank you so much for having us in your home. How's that new light fixture in your bathroom working out? Everything's still good." Maintaining the relationship is the most critical part that most business owners miss. And I think that I missed it in my first marriage. I certainly thought that love languages, we didn't understand each other at all. We got married super young. We were both 19. And I learned, I failed big, man. I failed big. I failed in that relationship in a big way. Both of us failed each other, and I take radical responsibility. It was equally my fault as it was hers. Not maintaining the relationship properly and understanding what it means to maintain relationships. And I think I got it. I don't know if I have it 100% dialed in, but I got it more dialed than I used to. So at least my wife now sends me text messages saying that she's about how happy she is. And we really
there you go.
Each other.
You got to keep putting coal in the fire. So to keep that fire going. What lessons did you learn from the 5 businesses that didn't succeed, and how did they shape your future successes?
I think as far as businesses, who I brought into the business really shaped it. I'll give you a great example of this. I had a manufacturing business and we needed more equipment, and I had put a sizable chunk of my net worth into the business. And then I brought on there were a couple of business partners already in. We brought in another one that had money and connections. And then, so there's 4 of us. And then, and we all had a sizable chunk. We all had basically 25% of the business at that point. Then we made the biggest mistake ever, which is we brought in private equity. So private equity, we needed money to expand the business. And at the time, up until that point, and I'll tell you this, man, up until that point, almost everything I touched turned to gold. Almost everything I touched. And with business, and I thought that I could control the situation, and I couldn't. And they had bigger lawyers than us. Their contracts were better than ours. They were aggressive at doing a hostile takeover on us, and they were very effective at pushing us out of the business and sticking us with nothing. So I walked away from that business with 1/100th of what I put into it, and the business was very successful. We grew it like 10x every year that we had it. And had we sold it just on the open market, all of us would have walked away with millions of dollars, and we didn't. We thought we could walk away with tens of millions instead of just millions. And we got a little greedy with it and sat down and thought more. In fact, there's a book called The Road Less Stupid, maybe one of the best business books ever. And the author talks about you should spend most of your time as a business owner thinking rather than just running around doing. And that was my biggest mistake. I acted out of impulse. I was running and gunning, want to make a lot more money. And I knew that if I had the money in my mind, I knew that if I had the money, I could grow the business as big as what we wanted. We could all win. And what I didn't realize is one of the players, which was the private equity company, didn't want the rest of us to win. They wanted all the winnings. And they got it too. They got it. They pushed us out. Then they sold the business to another company, another private equity company, and they made the tens and tens of millions, and we got nothing. That was a valuable lesson on being very careful who you bring into your house. Be very careful who you bring in.
Just like a marriage.
Just like a marriage. Be very careful.
Man.
Yeah, show the poison.
Oh yeah. What does financial freedom mean to you, and how can business owners over 40 start pursuing it today?
That's a great question, man. One of my mentors sat me down, it was about 13, 14 years ago. And he was like, bro, I'm tired of seeing you have this money thing where you're like, it's like hero to zero, like over and over again as a business owner. Hey, my bank's got a bunch of money in it. And then the next week you're like, I have no money. And then the next week you're like, I got a bunch of money again. And so we all go through those cycles as business owners up until the point where you're doing about 25, 30 million a year in revenue. Up until that point, you have a cash flow cycle that's all often out of whack, probably same as your business. There's, especially in blue collar, because we're very seasonal. So during the summer, we make money when the sun shines. When it gets wintertime, especially up here in Idaho, probably in Colorado, you got a dead season, and you got to be able to manage that money appropriately so that you have it. Most people don't. And so what this mentor of mine sat me down, he was like, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to show you how to invest. You have $100. And I was like, sure, I got $100. And he was like, let's open up a TD Ameritrade account. Of course, now it's Charles Schwab. And I'm going to show you how to invest $100 into dividend investing. And the way people think about dividend investing is old school, like Coca-Cola, Exxon, and all pay 2%. And he was like, there's other things that pay way more, man. And they're stable, real estate investment trust, business development companies, that kind of thing. So he introduced me to that concept. And I've been on a tear with it since. It took me a while to build out a strategy that works for me. So about 7 years ago, I really got into it hot and heavy, where I was like, I had some extra money, started pouring it in there. And then about 5 years ago, so actually, I guess it was 6 years ago, right during COVID, I went all in on it. And it didn't take me long to get to the point where all my bills were paid for with passive income. So from that point, from 2020, it took me about a year and a half. So I'd already put a year and a half into it. Then I got a year and a half in. So I've been living on dividends since then. So what are we at now? About four and a half years now of living 100% of my lifestyle on dividends. And so that's how I run my businesses too. So I put a brokerage account inside the business, and I put all the profit and tax money and emergency fund into there. And the nice thing is that there's brokerage accounts now that you can take a margin loan, which is a loan where you're using your shares of stock as your collateral, right? You can take a loan out and use the stock as collateral, and then you can use the dividends to pay down that debt. And in a business, I wanted to get away from ever having to need the banks. So I don't think banks, whenever you need them, they're not there for you. And then they hound the crap out of you when you don't need them. They're like, hey, do you want a business credit card? I'm like, dude, I needed that a year ago, and now you're offering it to me. And so when you need it, they're not there. And so I wanted to create a structure for me that worked. And then I wanted to be able to teach that concept to other people. So I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not allowed to go in and go, I advise that you buy this one share of something. But what I can do is teach people the overall arching, this is how I run my money. And to get around the regulations about being a financial advisor, number one, I don't take any money for it. Number two, I just created a YouTube channel and gave the whole dang thing away for free. And so I teach people how I got free from the grind of paying all my bills from my active income and having to increase my active income to increase my lifestyle. Now I'm like, I need to increase my dividend income and to increase my lifestyle. So once my bills are paid, my lifestyle's gotten better and better. I don't know if you probably can't see me because I think that we were having camera problems, but I'm sitting in my backyard right now, and I'm actually drinking coffee and smoking a pretty fine cigar. And I've got an outdoor fireplace right behind me, and with a fire in it. What is it, like 10:30 on a
Friday?
Yeah.
Wow. How can someone use their skills to regain stability and purpose after significant life changes like a divorce or a company crashing?
The big thing is a mind game, right? In fact, I was actually having a conversation with a guy right before we got on here. So it's kind of interesting. Almost same conversation where dude, I can't get my head in the game. He got divorced about 6 months ago, and he's still dealing with the custody stuff. And man, I deal with this. I don't know if I'm a therapist or what I am, but like I was talking to him and I was like, hey, The things is you do have amazing things in your life to be grateful for. You're just not focused on that. You're focused on the negative right now.
Negative.
How do you change that? I tell them, I'm like, you have to start every day with gratitude. So start a gratitude journal. That's actually what fixed it for me. Woke up every morning and wrote down 10 things I was grateful for. And my health is one of them. I'm 47 years old. I woke up today, this morning. I have zero pain. In fact, I feel great. I feel like $1 million this morning. I live a life. My wife's at a training thing. She's out of town. My daughter texts me and she's, hey, Dad, can you take me to lunch today? Because we have a lunch meeting. And I was like, yeah, she's 15. Whose 15-year-old daughter wants to go lunch with their dad at a business event? And so there's all these things I'm grateful for. I write down 10 things I'm grateful for. I meditate on those things before I start my
Even now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even now.
Wow.
Because a better way to start your day off than going, hey, I actually have it pretty dang good. I don't
Yeah.
People talk about not comparing themselves to other people, but why not? Dude, there's people in this world who have it way worse than you and me.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
within 10 miles of where I'm living, somebody's suffering with addiction. They're trapped in a terrible situation that they can't get out of. Their debt load is so heavy that they're considering drastic measures to get out of it. But you have all these people who live their lives in very difficult situations. And I don't have those situations. And so I think about what I'm grateful for every single day. I'm in Idaho. Dude, there's not a cloud in the sky. You can't see it above me because the camera's not working, but there's not a single cloud in the sky. It's beautiful. The weather's insanely good. You know, if it got too hot this afternoon, I can go swim in the river and smoke a cigar in there if I want to, do whatever I want, whenever I want. I can fly first class anywhere in the world. It's a beautiful thing to think about the things that you're grateful for. And by the way, when you focus on gratitude, the things you focus on, you can change, and the things you focus on, you get more of. So if you focus on negativity, you get more negativity. You focus on positivity, you get more positivity. This is the way God created it.
Well, how do you speak to the guy, and maybe that's me or maybe not me, that has all these fires, these irons in the fire, and doesn't pick one? There's so many shiny rocks. How do you stop that mindset?
And that's a tough one. I actually created a goal journal for this. I actually have it published on Amazon, so I guess somebody could maybe type my name into Amazon and find it.
Okay.
But I created a goal journal, and the goal journal works like this. What are my big goals for the year? Money, business, health, spirituality, relationships, that kind of thing. So I've got those broken down. And then I have it broken down. Every day you write this down. So you go back every single day and you write your goals so that you stay focused. Again, focus. The more you focus on something, the more you can change it, and the more good things you get from it. Then every month you write down what are your targets. So there's 3 things that you need to do in order to hit your big goals in each area. So let's just say health. In order to reach my health goals, I need to do these certain things. If I have money goals, in order to get my money goals taken care of from the year, what do I need to do this month in order to hit? So near the end of June, I will write all my targets, my 3 targets for July. And then I break that down into a daily where I just do 3 daily tasks that are small. Health one's an easy one because I'm like, okay, in order to change my metabolism properly the way that I want, I need to go for a 10 to 15 minute walk every time I eat. So I'm going to eat a meal. I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. So my task for today is 3 10-minute walks. And so it's nothing that's going to take a bunch of time. It's no heavy lifting. But in the course of a year, if you do the math, if you do that 7 days a week, heck, if business stuff, you only want to do it 5 days a week, you're talking 700-800 tasks that you got done targeting towards your goals. So it refocuses you in down to because if you look at the big goal and you're like, I want to make $1 million, let's just say, that's an elephant, man. And even figuring out how to take bites out of it is really hard. And so people are like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Where do you start? And the way that I do it is I break it down to the most minute, craziest little thing. What do I need to do today so somebody's wants to do investing and they want to get free on passive income. What do you need to do today? Okay. Well, maybe invest $100. Do you have an extra $100 hanging around? Yeah. Okay. With that, that's why my mentor got me started with $100, because most people have $100 that they could put into it. And now I invest several $100s a day. But the great thing is I took it in bite-sized chunks. And there's always a shiny object. There's always something new to do. But if you're focused on the goals, you don't get distracted so much.
Okay. Wow. What about mentorship and community? How important is that in overcoming personal and professional obstacles?
That's critical. Let's talk professional. Being a business owner is lonely. You got your employees, you got your customers, you got your referral partners, but for the most part, you don't spend enough time with any of those people, and you don't build a purpose-built community around you. And that's a mistake. Some people try and do it with a networking group like a BNI or some other thing, like which you probably, there's a bunch of them in your town. But those networking groups, the people in there are nice to each other. They're pleasant with each other. They build relationships. But when somebody leaves, their community disappears. And the key is creating a community that is a lot more sticky. So I actually purpose built this with Blue Collar Connect on purpose, because I had it one time, I owned a landscaping business, and I built a network of blue collar people. We'd meet Fridays for lunch, and there was 26 of us. That group of people, in fact, I just saw one of them at a cigar lounge a couple weeks ago. He's got a cleaning business, and our conversation picked up. I haven't seen him in 5-6 years. Our conversation picked up like we'd never been apart, but we sat together 9 years. And I purpose built Blue Collar Connect so that we would have the community aspect of it, because in business, the community is usually other people trying to sell you something. So if you go to a Chamber of Commerce event or BNI or whatever, the financial planner is in there trying to sell you something, the marketing guy, and finding, building yourself. If you're not one of my markets and you're not blue collar, then you got to build yourself a community of other business owners that there's nobody in there that can sell to you. In your case, you're a dentist, go find a chiropractor, a massage therapist, a naturopath, and some of these other people in your same industry that you have no motivation to sell to each other. You just need that brotherhood and sisterhood. You go and
lift each other up
once a week. And the community is best built if you're at least sitting down and breaking bread with your brothers and sisters at least once a week, whether that's breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever. And
as someone who's achieved so much, how do you balance work, personal life, your relationship? And how does your brain not explode?
Well, number one, I drink a ton of coffee, but the main thing is balancing relationships with business. I don't believe in work-life balance. I think that's some BS that corporate America tried to sell us at one point. The thing that I've created purposely came from one of my mentors. He was like, dude, build an integrated life. I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, involve your family in your business. They should all say we, our business. They should say we type language like it's ours. They feel like a sense of ownership, not just about like the house and the household and our family unit, but they feel that way about the business. So I involve my kids. My wife's heavily involved in the business, so she runs the operations side of Blue Collar Connect. And so when like my daughter, she's, hey, the lunch today is Friday, right? So we have a Friday lunch. We're gonna have a bunch of Blue Collar Connect members at the lunch. She's texting me going, hey, can I go to the lunch with you today? Why would she want to go to a business meeting? Right. And the reason is because she feels ownership of it. She feels pride in it. My sons are blue collar. My 21-year-old, he does roofing. My 17-year-old, he does concrete. They're involved in Blue Collar Connect at a level that's even deeper, because my son who does roofing is a member of Blue Collar Connect. So I've created the integrated life. And I think it's very important when we're sending letters to customers or cutting out stickers or any of that stuff. They're heavily involved in doing that. And we talk regularly about what our goals and dreams are with the business, with the kids, so they have an understanding of what we're all doing together. Why does Dad have to fly out of town for 3 days? And the reasons we're all trying to reach our goals together, and there's things that we need to do it.
Wow, Joe, this has been interesting. Very interesting. A little bit different than what I thought it'd be, but that was cool. So my man had about a 25, 30-minute attention span. So where can the man find you on the internet?
Yeah, so you can, Joe Mikitish on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on YouTube. If you're interested in the investing stuff, that side of things, that what I do, YouTube is a great place to find me. And my last name is Mikitish. And YouTube's a great place. So I'm also doing some Facebook Live stuff. So anybody who owns a business, I don't charge for this. What I do, I'll do a Facebook Live. I'll get the whiteboard out. You got problems in your business, we'll write them on, come up with a plan. I'll give you that for free. I'm just trying to help people out because a lot of us are driving around in our car going, if I could fix this one thing in my business, everything would be better, but they don't know how to get there. I can help with that. But if you just want to send me a message, LinkedIn's great for that. And Facebook's great too. I'm very active on both of those platforms.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to connect with you, but thank you for your time, but don't go anywhere. Let me go ahead and close this out.